Okay, we're back. It's, I don't know. It's just very frustrating for me, with this stuff because it gets kind of old. I'm not, you know, when it comes to certain things, I tend to be a perfectionist. When it, just making sure, wanting to make sure things are set right and all of that. And when they're not, it just really bothers me a lot because especially when things are it was working a moment ago and then now it's not working. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Well, the good thing is, if you're just joining us again, welcome back, and we're just going to jump right into it. So today, just complete rundown. I'll give you the rundown again of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be getting into a variety of topics here. Let's see. We're going to talk about how something I've been noticing on social media, and that is this. It seems like they're just reposting these old stories over and over again, and people are engaging in them as if the story just happened the other day or recently. And I'm like, no, this is an old story, but it's like people just are going with it, and it's really something. But it does touch on something, that a topic that we've been talking about here. Um, we're going to talk about this insanity that we see going on right now, where black women and black gay men, are going after Chilli. And see, on like a lot of platforms, I'm just going to call out who the culprits are, because outside of that demographic, nobody really cares about who Chilli voted for or whatever. Nobody cares about that. So we're going to talk about that and how ridiculous that is. We're also going to take a look at, there's a video that I saw that just went viral recently, and it was showing like a sweeping shot of these beautiful black students who, I guess, apparently just got their doctorate. Not well, they I guess they went through medical school, so they all had their white coats on, and people like, oh, this is so beautiful and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to take a little bit a deeper view at that. And if you've been following this platform, we've been talking about that. I mean, black doctors, do they really make a difference when it comes to our healthcare? And we're going to talk about that. Let's see. And then we're going to get into, I talked about, there's a black woman who I found, she was at her town hall meeting, and she actually she was speaking out against the data center that is being proposed in her community. And you should watch and see how the people responded to that, and why this is something that you, particularly as a black individual, especially if you live within a community that has a lot of black folks, you definitely need to be paying very close attention to this whole data center situation, for real. Okay. And then we're going to wrap it up with some very beautiful, I think, nice, heartwarming videos that I was able to curate. Black men and black women just having fun, taking care of their kids, having fun with their kids, all that kind of stuff. So I think that would be a good way to round all of this up here. So if this is your first time, welcome to the platform. And what we try to do here, of course, is we talk about the news, but I try to do it in a way where I'm also, because yes, there are a lot of problems in the world, and we're not going to ignore those. Okay. We're not going to avoid the problems. Problems do happen. If you want to fix something, you first have to do what? You got to know what it is. What's the problem, right? If my car is broken, I can't just take it to the mechanic and say, hey, my car's making a funny noise and it drives funny, but my only caveat is don't open the hood. The mechanic's going to look at you like, what? And you sitting up there, yeah, you can't do that. Well, the mechanic ain't going to be able to do anything, right? And so instead, you're giving more instructions to the mechanic, and you're saying, okay, Mr. Mechanic, what do you think the problem is? And he's like, well, by the sound of it, it sounds like this. And then your response is, well, what about that Cadillac over there? Or what about that BMW over there? And he's like, well, I'm not working. You want me to work on this? In order for me to work on this car, I'm going to have to open the hood up, right? And that's how, unfortunately, a lot of people are. They don't want to open the hood. They just want to talk about the other cars. You know what I mean? So what we try to do here is we open up the hood. We're going to find out, diagnose, and see what the issues are. But we're also going to talk about the solutions, right? That's what we're going to do. So if you're okay with that, then we can go right on ahead and we're going to keep it moving, okay? So that's how we do things here on this platform. And again, like I said, welcome. Let me see. Let me pull this up here. Hopefully it'll work this time. That was just so weird. Let me see. It should be working now. What I'm doing now is I'm switching over to, okay, here it is. I had to get the right page up. There we go. All right. Ooh. Dwayne. Anyway, don't get me started. Anyway, so I really hope, seeing like quite a few of you guys saw this, which is great. But I want to make sure, because we're going to be building on this, okay? I do these old comic book series things, and I want you to really make sure you really think about this, okay? I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it because I know many of you have already seen it. And, and in this, I actually was just talking about how our brain operates. And I did this because as you're going about on social media and you're interacting with people and you're observing people, and how they react and respond to certain things, you notice that there are a lot of people who like to deflect. They love to blame and deflect. They're never the problem. They're never the issue. It's always someone else's fault. Now, there's a lot of contributing factors to that, but we are focused on the brain, okay? We're focused on how the brain operates with all of this, right? And so that's what we talk about. So that's one of the contributing factors, is the fact that your brain is trying to protect yourself, trying to protect itself, right? And it's trying to protect the body. And anything that makes you or your body feel uncomfortable, your brain is going to basically create internally kind of a scenario in your head to say, okay, everything's okay, everything is calm. Think of the person that's who tends to be very hysterical, right? And and you don't know, you just pulling for anything, to try to get this person to calm down. Well, that's, and that's what your brain does. And sometimes your brain will just come up with all kind of stuff, right? But you have to know how, but it's not your enemy. Your brain is your friend, right? And it's trying to protect you. So that's what I was going through here. And then I talked about here how I just gave a personal example, how when I was in Christianity, when I got into Christianity, I was born into it basically. It gave me a way to see the world around me. And I said, but as I got older, more and more, I started having more and more questions and realizing that it did not answer, questions that I had, particularly as a black man, when I would look at the plight of black people and why they were so much of this, that, or whatever. And it just seemed like a downward spiral. What is causing that, right? So when I got into the Hebrew Israelite movement, it basically gave me, it cobbled together a reason it gave me an explanation that with my brain, we can blame the Hebrew Israelite movement, but it was also my brain. It was primarily my brain that said, hey, this is a comforting thought. Now it makes sense why it is all these things are going on. It's because you're cursed. As a black person, all black people, you're cursed. This is why black people are having all these problems. It's because we are cursed people, right? And so that, believe it or not, my brain was able to sync with that and say, you know what, that makes sense. Now that makes sense. So it gave a sense of comfort and relief. But how twisted is that I'm actually relieved of the fact that, so we're cursed. That's what it is. Why would I be relieved if someone's telling me I'm cursed? You're not supposed to feel comfortable in that. You're supposed to be like, wait a minute. No, that's not a good thing at all. How do I get rid of this thing? Right? And so anyway, so what it did was it filled in the blanks for me, made me feel a little bit better. about myself and about the stuff that I was seeing. It provided an explanation, right? But as I began to start digging in a little bit more and challenging my brain and challenging the thing that the brain was trying to do, was trying to make me feel good. And what happened was, as I started digging and started asking questions and all that, like not just me, but many other people do the same thing. What happened? I did, because I got to the realization, I said, listen, I don't want to feel protected. I don't want to feel protected. I want truth. A lot of times people want truth and feel protected at the same time, but I'm going to tell you, truth has a way of being very raw and stripping. When you find out the absolute truth about certain things, man, it has a way of just stripping you all pretty much butt naked. That's not a comforting feeling. It's not, right? But it's one that provides a firm foundation that you can stand on and you can start building on that. And so I have the brain here holding a bucket of melon, and he said, I was just only trying to help. And yeah, he was. He was trying to help, but it didn't, but I also had to challenge it too and say, are you really helping? And so now what you're finding is a lot of people now, it's like, I saw it as it was happening. It was, how many years? 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I guess. 7, 8 years ago. The Hebrew Israelite thing, it was smoking. People were jumping on this thing. Hebrew Israelite movement been around for a minute, right? But it wasn't until I would say in the last 7 years, it really reached the pinnacle where everybody was jumping in on it. That's when we got in on it, right? And then slowly but surely, all of a sudden, what started coming out was the whole, no, we're not that. We're Native Americans. And I said, I'm going to see how these Hebrew Israelites, how they navigate those waters. Well, sure enough, that's when I started saying, well, I'm a Hebrew from, I'm a Hebrew from, what would they say? They would say, I'm a Hebrew from Spain and Portugal. I've never been to Africa, but I've always been here in America. They would try to find some kind of weird logic to say they're from everywhere but nowhere. And so the brain started working again. It started saying, well, that didn't work out. Let's find something else that make you feel comfortable. How about an Indian? Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about how your great-grandmother, she was an Indian. But what about the great-grandfather? Or what about the grandfather? What about the parents on both sides? Well, we don't need to know all of that. Why you asking that? Here we come with the deflection. Deflect to protect. Anytime you see people deflecting, that means they're trying to protect. All right? They're trying to protect that sense of stability. Right? That's what they're trying to do. And then I said on the bottom, I said, remember, the real you is not your brain. The brain is just came with your earth suits. And this is something I want you to really understand. Your brain, right? Everything, your body. Let me see if I can turn this off here for a moment because I want y'all to see me. Your body, okay? The real you is beyond this right here. I want you to really understand this. Listen, because I've talked about this before. If you watch any of these videos of people that have these near-death experiences, they will tell you that their brains registered as dead. It was flatline. There was no activity that was going on in their brains. No activity. But yet they are able to, when they came back to life, they're able to talk about in detail everything that was going on in the room. And then when they come back to life, everybody's like looking at them in amazement. They're like, well, wait a minute. I was looking at the machine here and the machine was saying that you were dead. You were brain dead. How did you know all of this stuff? You see what I'm saying? The real you is beyond this. This just came with your earth suit. Okay. Your brain is a receiver of what's ultimately out there, right? That's what your brain really is. So yes, it is on you to take on the responsibility to challenge whatever your brain presents to you. Okay? So don't think that your brain is you. It is not you. Your brain is a tool that was given to the real you so that you can move about and adjust in this world, in this space, right? Because the real you is used to being in endless space, right? But in order for you to tune in and to adjust and to move about in this plane, in this space, you needed a brain to help you sort things out. Because if you was to take this out, you would just be beyond. And it's like, I need help I need something to help me to zoom this in a little bit. And that's where your brain comes in. Okay, so that's something I just wanted to share that with you. So when you think of your brain, that's what it is, right? And so anyway, let me get this back up here. Where are we right here? Let's go to this right here. So anyway, last one, the amygdala handles fear and emotional reactions. All right, this is all part of your brain. That's okay. That's what comes with it. Your prefrontal cortex handles critical thinking. That's the part that a lot of people, because of diet, because of a number of factors like emotional, whatever, that part is usually the underdeveloped part, okay? And that's the part we have to work on. I said, your brain is a tool, learn how it works, okay? So just something to think about there, okay? And I just wanted to pass that along to you guys, but we'll be doing a lot more of that. Oh, I forgot. The other thing is, let's go back to the poll. All right. I asked this question. This is one of those, it's not a brain teaser. It's the brain challenger. All right. And so the question that I posed to you guys was this. I said, if you believe that we are all born into sin, and you also believe that sin cannot be in the presence of God, all right, because that's what the Bible says, that he cannot associate with sin. It can't be in his presence. Then where do babies go when they die? Well, 72% of you said heaven. Okay. 0% said hell. So no babies go to hell, according to all of those who participated in this. And 28% answered with the same place all those babies Israelites were commanded to kill. So that's an interesting response to give, because in the Bible, it talked about how evil and wicked the Canaanites and the Amorites and all the Perizzites and all of them, it said how evil they were. In fact, the Bible says they were so evil that you got to wipe all of them out, including the children, So my question to you is this: if the children were evil, then how do they where are they going? Are they going to heaven? Are they going to hell? Where are they going? The truth is that at the end of the day, heaven and hell, what we know as heaven and what we know as hell, and I've done a video, I did a whole video on hell and where that actually comes from. I should do one on heaven too, but I'll just tell you this. I mean, when you read the Bible, the Bible, everything in heaven is centered around Jewish culture. Everything around heaven, when you look at it, it's centered around Jewish culture. And like I've said many times before, I'm not trying to go into an eternal space of Jewish culture. You can have it, okay? I'm not, just black me out all the way. I ain't trying to do that. I'm not, okay? But I know for some of these, this is kind of weird and strange to hear some of these things, because a lot of people don't talk like this, right? But I'm trying to get you to start engaging that part of your brain that is there for you to start thinking about these things, okay? I'm not your enemy. See, your brain automatically say, oh, I can't hear what he's saying. Your brain, some of you, your brain is already have made me, oh, he's lost. That's what it is. That's the conclusion. He's lost, but I'm good. I'm good, but he's the one that's crazy. He's the one that's fallen off. See, again, there you go. Instead of you saying, halt, let's stop for a second. Let's really think about what he's saying here. And let's give a well thought out response instead of just reacting to the first thing our brain produces. You understand what I'm saying? That is not to say that we're all to agree 100% on everything. That is not what I'm saying. But what happens is a lot of times, particularly in religious spaces, people do not give themselves the opportunity, particularly their brain, to really flesh things out so that you have a well thought response instead of just knee jerking. You understand what I'm saying? Or pivoting. And so that's what we try to do here, is to challenge you to start using your brain, engaging in these things, right? So anyway, so I hope you got something out of that. Let's move on to the next thing here, talking about replay mode. This kind of ties in. Yeah, that's actually a good segue into this. I've been on, I get on X every day, and for better or worse, I just, it gets tiring after a while, and, just to see all the endless debates that never go anywhere and all that stuff. And I mean, who wants to wake up to see people arguing and cussing each other out and threatening to hurt each other? I mean, that's not a good way to wake up. But I don't, once I start seeing things come on my timeline, I'm just like, nope, I ain't gonna start my day with that, right? But I've been noticing there's quite a few posts that have been coming up as of late of things that happened a few years ago that people are reposting. And what they're doing now is they're not only reposting it, but now with AI, they edit it in a way where it seems like it's something that just happened. And I'll give you an example of that. You guys remember, this could not have been last year. It's weird. I'm just thinking about this now. You guys remember that story that took place in Colorado where it was a black man and a woman who bought a large piece of land in Colorado Springs, and they were saying that their next door neighbor was basically threatening them and doing all this kind of stuff. And we followed that story, and we found out there was a lot of weird things that was going on, things that they were saying that just wasn't lining up with what actually was documented and all of that. And anyway, so that's now making the rounds, but they're presenting it. I was like, okay, there's nothing new here. What's going on? And once again, but that story was a high emotional one, because let's set the table. Here you have a black man and a woman who are married. They're moving into an area that when people think of Colorado Springs, they pretty much think that it's all white people. But as a former resident of Colorado Springs, I could tell you that is not the case at all. There are a lot of black people who live in Colorado Springs. And because you got those military bases out there. So, and, and a lot of black folks got white wives, and that's what you got out here too. And and then I used to be teasing with my wife. I said, it's you remember the movie Children of the Corn? I said Children of the Cornbread, because all the children are light skinned, and you could tell they got the nappy head, but they got that light skin. That's okay though. They all, hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. But it was just something to see. It was like, wow, is this like a military experiment out here? I mean, they all concentrated in this one area, and that's how it is here in Arizona. It's the same way. I'm like, what's going on here? Anyway, I'm sidetracking here. But anyway, that area where this farmer and his wife, where they lived or whatever, it was a story that was going on, and it was a highly emotional one. And people were making videos, and they were like, see, we're going to have to get together, y'all. We're going to have to get together. Okay, we're going to have to I'm fine. I can go out there. I got guns. People were talking about getting guns, putting together militias, talking about we need to fly some drones out there and do all this stuff. And we need to go out there and put some camera work and all this stuff. And I was like, whoa. Did y'all take the time to even investigate this? But people were already, I'm like, oh, you skipped over. How about take all of that energy and focus it on Philadelphia or Memphis or, some of these other areas? You ready to put in work, because these two individuals are facing white people, which we found out that, again, that's a very muddled story. But you got little girls and boys getting shot in the head literally every other night, and there's no such proposal for a militia. Make it make sense. You understand what I'm saying? But I digress. Anyway, so, but that story was a very emotional one, and it pulled from the emotions of a lot of people who were following it. And now they're regurgitating stories like that to make it seem like it just happened. So what I'm saying is this, how that ties in, and it makes a lot of sense why they're doing this, because going back to what we were saying earlier, That's what your brain does. Your brain loves to replay, unfortunately, the things that are negative. Because you used to chew on it so much, what happens is it literally impresses onto your nervous system. When you're replaying these things over and over again, those offenses, yeah, I remember when that man, he did this to me, or you remember when these people did this, and remember when that, or whatever. Man, I'll never forget that. I'm guilty. I find myself doing that sometimes as well, right? When you just replaying stuff, when you find yourself doing that, what you are witnessing is your nervous system. It's been impressed with that. That's why we are strong advocates of doing things like breathing exercises, right? Very important for you to do breathing exercises, because what does that do? It helps reset your nervous system, okay? And it helps you to get over that, so that now, not to say that you're to forget and have amnesia of some of these things that may have been wrong or whatever, but you don't always chew on that every 5 freaking minutes. You know what I'm saying? Because that has a direct impact on your health, okay? And speaking of health, I think this is a good time to bring in Samba Tree, just for a moment here. But Samba Tree, I told you, here on this platform, we're not going to just point to the problems. We're also going to talk about the solutions. And at Samba Tree, we are very committed to the solutions, all right? There are 2 priorities of this, is to make sure that we're addressing, the top 2 things are diabetes and high blood pressure. Based on what we know about these two conditions are low-hanging fruit. And it makes me very angry and upset to see how many of our people have been taking medication for these conditions for years. Why? Because the medical industry told them they had to do that for the rest of their lives. And I'm here to tell you that's a whole lie. Unless you got some really some weird stuff going on, there are natural solutions for that. And we've been talking about them, and we present them over on our platform over at sambatree.com. Now, we just introduced something today. In case you didn't check your email, let me pull this out for you here. Let me see if it comes up, and it does. All right, we're on a roll here. Okay, so here's the website, sambatree.com. We're going to go to new arrivals, and we're going to go, and we got a whole bunch of, supplements and stuff like that. Men, we got something to help you out, okay? When the sword ain't swording, okay? Women, when that ain't, we got stuff for you too. We even cover that department too, okay? We got you covered. And we got all kind of coffees and stuff like that too. But I want to take you to this. This is called I was pronouncing it, because I was just looking at it so fast. I was saying the banana leaf tea. No, it's not banana. It's banamba. Banamba. Okay? It's not banana leaf, because that's almost got me on that one. But anyway, it's not banana, it's banamba. We're going to take a look at what this has to offer. Okay, let's take a look here. Let's get that bigger here so you can look at it. It's taste profile. Banamba has a wild, pleasant herbal taste. It is not bitter, making it easy to drink plain, but it blends well with sweeteners like honey or flavors like cinnamon, bay leaf, or lemon. And it's also known as the insulin plant. The insulin plant. I told you, nature provides solutions for all of these things, you guys. What are the key benefits? Blood sugar management, known for high levels of chlorosolic acid, which helps manage blood sugar levels, weight management, renal health. That's supporting your kidneys, antioxidants, and it's caffeine free for those of you who are very concerned about caffeine. And then we tell you even how you can make it and all that stuff there too. All right. And so let's see. I'll just read this little description here. Discover the timeless tradition of banamba leaf tea, a botanical infusion enjoyed for generations across Southeast Asia and beyond.
Naturally caffeine-free, rich in plant compounds, Banamba offers a mild, pleasant flavor that makes it easy to enjoy any time of the day. So again, if you are someone that's dealing with the whole sugar thing you got going on there, listen, there are natural solutions to it, and we are helping to provide those things on our front here at sambatree.com. So make sure you check that out, okay? Again, the website is sambatree.com. Let's get back into the news here. All right, so Chilli from TLC. And apparently, and let's be specific here, the 92% and homosexual black men are angry at Chilli because someone did some digging and they found out that she liked a few posts of Republicans. Oh my goodness. Don't tell me that. No, you actually like Republicans. Oh my God. How dare you do that? Oh my goodness. The sky is falling. And the amount of writings and the anger that was being directed at Chilli. And in case you don't know, I'm not talking about Chilli, the restaurant. So, because I know some people, they use so far out of it. You talk Chili's? You mean up there on Main and Market? No, I'm not saying restaurant, Mama. I'm not saying that, Papa. We're not talking about the restaurant. Okay. And I ain't talking about a bowl of chili either, okay? She is, for the few that may not know who I'm talking about, she is a member of the group TLC, all right? Which one of them, Third Eye, she is no longer with us. And is it Third Eye? Did I say Third Eye? I said that. I'm old, y'all. Did I call her Third Eye? It's not Third Eye. Anyway, whatever her name is. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, she gone. Left Eye. I called her Third Eye. That's what it was. I called her Third Eye. Wow. Well, I guess she did have a third eye too. I don't know. Left Eye Lopez. Sorry, y'all. One of those moments. Anyway, let me move on here. But anyway, you have people going in on this girl, going in on her. And they're just going off because she voted Republican. Like I said, again, I don't care. You vote Republican, Democrat, don't matter to me, don't care. I had a very interesting interaction with someone recently. I mean, they just couldn't let the conversation go. And it was all about voting. And I said, at the end of the day, I said, I see the value of voting on a local level, like if you're talking for the school board or you're talking about city council, maybe even the mayor. There's value in that. I do see the value in that. But when it comes to the president level, and you're talking about senator or even Congress, well, I think that's a whole different story, because now you're bringing in massive amount of corporate money, right? And other special interests. And so once you reach those levels, you can vote all you want, baby. At the end of the day, those interests, the people who have the money, are going to get their way. And how many years do we need, particularly as Black people, to understand that voting alone does not fix the problems? It basically exasperates it. You understand? And I'm listening to this guy. He was like, he could not wrap his head around. I said, okay, let me put it to you this way. I said, okay, do you think Apple Computer, let's just go with Apple Computer, okay, for example. Do you think Apple Computer is hanging their entire plans for the future and their current plans and all their products and everything on just one employee who is just, maybe he's a data entry person? Do you think that data entry person has the power to determine where Apple Computer goes? The answer is no. They hack you off in a second. You're a nobody to them. You understand? So let me ask it this way. Do you think that the United States or United States Inc. would hang its entire direction on where they're trying to go and the things they're trying to accomplish on individuals, some of which who cannot read or write. Some are even can't read, write, and homeless. Do you think that the powers that control these offices are like, oh Lord, I can't have Jamal. You think Trump is sitting up there or Biden or whatever? Oh, if Jamal, if he votes against me, we're going to be out of power. We're not going to be able to start wars again. I won't be able to cut deals with these banks. We got to find some way to Jamal. We got to head him off at the pass. We got to head Jamal. That's what we're going to do. We're going to head Jamal at the pass. I want you to understand something. The millions and millions and millions, if not billions of dollars that they spend, particularly during election season, it is what I want you to understand what that's really for. It's really to fund a production to convince you, to make you think and believe that your vote at that level is actually making a difference. And, you know, the posts have been out here, you know, saying that if Kamala, if she won, we wouldn't be in this war. All you got to do is go back to what she said when she was running. She said that Iran, she's willing to do whatever it takes to shut down Iran. She said that on multiple occasions. So yeah, we would be in war, at war with Iran for sure. It didn't matter. Why? Because the powers that shouldn't be are in control of both sides. We say this all the time, but it's like people don't believe it. So anyway, getting back to this conversation I had with this individual, it was like he couldn't let go of, okay, well, if I don't vote, who do I vote for? What are you saying? I got to vote for somebody. It's like he could not release himself from that loop. And there are a lot of people who are like that. They can't release themselves from the loop. They have told themselves that they have to vote. I got to vote for a congressperson. I got to vote for a senator. I got to vote for a president, because if I don't, the fate of the world is at my... There ain't nobody waiting for you. Let me help you. This is how the world works, y'all. I'm not trying to be defeatist or anything like that. They do not work for you. They're not waiting for your vote. Like I said, again, now if you're doing like a school board, if it's, you voting for the local judge, you voting for, you know, the person that's waste management, you know, at that level, yeah, there's a lot more control and there's a lot more weight your vote does have, right? Because you're not really dealing with much of that interference. But once you start getting to Congress, Senate, and even the presidential level, your vote really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. It doesn't. And black people should know this lesson. But unfortunately, many black people don't. Because the brain is locked into this loop where you just keep doing it and it makes you feel better. It brings comfort. I did my part. And what do people do when they vote? It's very amazing to watch. After they vote, they get their little sticker. I voted. I voted. You know, that actually, you know why they do that in school? You know, they typically do. There's two places where you see those declaration pens. It's in elementary school and in adulthood. Elementary school, you know why they do it in elementary school? Is to help build this confidence of the child. Well, that's an appropriate venue to do that in, right? You know, I got an A. You know, I cleaned my room or whatever. Okay, that's cute and fine. But we as adults, we understand that, oh, that's just to build their self-confidence. That's fine. Well, once you become an adult, you shouldn't need that. But the other time that we see it is when? Voting. Voting. I voted. Okay, you voted. Okay, what you want? Well, you got a cook, you know, they probably gave you a cookie too, but you got a little pen that tells you, I voted. What is that? What's the real messaging in that? you are still to that degree. You are immature. They're telling you that you're too immature to understand really what this is all about. So let's reward you with a little sticker and a little pin, and let's give you that, and that make you feel very good about yourself and make you feel like you really did something. But in reality, no, it didn't. Now, I live here in Arizona, and I can tell you, Arizona is considered one of the most corrupt states politically. Well, I would say in Maricopa County, that's the county I'm in, is considered one of the most corrupt counties in the nation politically. And the kind of stuff that goes on here, it's really something. And I'm telling you, I mean, you want to vote all you want, but the amount of interference stuff they got going on just in this county alone, I would say Maricopa County is an exception to what I just said as far as like voting on the local level, because you got the military stuff here. You got the Mormons. They are up in this piece thick. You hear what I'm saying to you? Oh, you ain't seen no more. Now I've been to Utah at the airport. That's about as far as I got into Utah. But let me tell you something. Here, oh, the Mormons are up here thick. I mean, you can still function and live your life. They ain't trying to mess with you. You black, they ain't trying to mess with you. You see them all the time walking up down the street, and they always go in twos. They got their white shirt on, the guys, they got their bike helmet on, walking their bikes and got their tie on, white shirt, black tie or whatever. I only had one time they were walking down the street. I guess they were canvassing. And I was putting air in the tire or something like that. And it was like, hi, can I help you or something like that? I was like, no, I didn't ask for that. I'm like, hope you having a good day, whatever. And that was it. He kept right on walking. They were like, okay. And sometimes they will come to the door, they don't know who lives there. And I told my kids, I said, one day, I said, I'm probably going to, if they ever knock on the door again, I'm going to open the door and be like, ah! And all they see is a black face. Woo! Oh, they wouldn't be able to handle that. But yeah, they don't mess around with black folks here. And I am cool with that. I am cool with that, y'all. Don't mess with me. I'm good. They don't say hi to me. Okay, fine. I don't care. I really don't. I am way fine with that. I can't even tell you how fine I am with that. But yeah, they do that thing, whatever. But anyway, but getting back to Chilli, with her whole situation, y'all listen. At the end of the day, like I said again, it's what it is, and the 92 percenters and the, like I said, black gay men, these are the two people who are really all up in her business, and they just want to continue on just wanting to rip this girl apart over a choice that she made. Never mind all the stuff that's going on in the world, the real things that we should be focusing on. But the mere fact that she made a personal choice, that's her. She liked the post. So you going to try to kill her over that? Anyway, I just think that's just ridiculous. Anyway, let's move on here. There's a video. Let me see if I can pull this up here. We're on a roll here with the software working for us here. So let me see. That would be under our bookmarks. And we're going to go to here. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to play the video. Here, just give me a moment here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So I'm not going to put the volume on it because, a lot of times they, when you put the volume on it, they got some music on there and all that. And I just can't do that. So, it could be copyright stuff. But anyway, white coats, black excellence. I didn't say that right. Black excellence. So you got all these black, young black men and women who have, I guess, become doctors. Okay. Like I said before, that's a huge accomplishment. I'm not going to say it's not. It definitely is. It takes a lot of commitment, and it takes a lot to become, a doctor, and that's something, to have that level of commitment to carry it all the way through. You should be commended for that. But once they become doctors and they have their own practices, notice the word practice, they're in hospitals and all of that, then reality sets in. Let me play for you this video here. Now, this is an Asian woman, and she's Asian. Now, I want you to pay very close attention to the reality of what she is dealing with. And let me pull this video up, and hopefully you'll be able to hear it. Let's take a listen to this video.
I have not been paying my student loans since December of 2025. I'm a 29-year-old PA with over $100,000 worth of student loan debt, and this is how much interest I've accrued. I have not been paying since last year because I dedicated $7,500 of my emergency fund towards maxing out my Roth IRA for 2026 early, and so I wanted to replenish that in the first quarter. I also wanted to maximize my goal of $7,500 into a taxable brokerage before I started paying off my loans. Now, my loans are in forbearance. They've been in forbearance since I graduated in August of 2023. I started accumulating interest in August of 2025, but I paid $40,000 off between August and December of 2025. Between December of 2025 and now, March of 2026, this is how much interest I've accrued. I have 2 loan service providers because I consolidated my Grad Plus loans. My Grad Plus loans are with Mohila, and they are at a 7.4% interest. I started off December 15th of 2025 at $28,495.34. I currently have $29,018.91, which means I've accrued a total of $523.57 for 3 months. I have 7 smaller loans, which are my unsubsidized loans through Ed Financial, and they have varying interests, about roughly 6% interest. I started with $71,750 when I first took out all of the loans. I've not paid anything towards these because I was working on my highest interest loan first. My current debt with them is $76,290.85, which means I in total have accrued $4,540.85 for the whole life of my loan. Just this year, I started this year out with $75,431.81. I have accrued $859.04 so far. My goal this year was to try and pay off the remainder of my Grad Plus loan. It is the highest interest, but I have been focusing a lot on investing in my future because that long term is going to benefit me a lot more than just paying off my student loans that I don't even owe a payment on yet.
Okay, so I know she threw a lot of numbers in there, but if anything, what I really want you to focus on is the amount of interest that she's being charged on all of these loans. She's a medical, I don't know if she said she just graduated or about to graduate or something like that, but medical students have a lot of debt, that they graduate in. That's why colleges, I am really not that much of an advocate of colleges like I used to be, for this reason, because I think they're just nothing more than debt generators. And at the end of the day, the knowledge that a lot of people need to be functioning, a functional adult that is contributing to society and able to support you and your family, there's enough information out there where you don't really need that these days. I mean, you just don't, you know what I mean? But there's some things you still need it for. But still, I see colleges as mainly their major reason for its existence is to create a generation of debt slaves. And so she just gave yet another example of that. Now, this young lady, she's Asian. Now, can you imagine for a moment what the debt must look like for all of those black students who have loans? Now, she had a plan as far as how to pay it off and all that kind of stuff, right? So I think it's safe to assume that the debt ceiling is more than likely a lot higher for those black students. Now, I want you to follow me on this. You know how they say you're indebted to somebody? What does that mean? That basically means that, you owe them something, right? So what typically happens for a lot of these medical students who go into, being in hospitals or getting their own practice and all of that, you are indebted to the pharmaceutical industries who work hand in hand with the banks. And so what happens is there is no room for you to really challenge the narratives that are being put out by the medical industry. So whatever it is that they want people to promote, that's what they're going to. These individuals, all that see a beautiful black young people that you saw, that's exactly what they're going to promote. They're not going to challenge it at all. We saw this during COVID. There was no challenge for it. They created this illusion like, oh, we got a group of black doctors together and we studied it. And all. No, you didn't. You just looked at, okay, add another zero there and then we'll think about it. But they didn't really challenge anything. They didn't really challenge anything. And I've been pressing various black medical doctors and said, hey, have you done a study on a follow-up study, a 5-year follow-up study on the impact of COVID on black bodies? And I am constantly met with no answer or an avoidant or complete avoidance. They won't even answer it. And I've searched the internet high and low, use AI, whatever. Have any significant group of black doctors gotten together and created a 5-year follow-up study on the impact of the COVID vaccine on black people? No. And the answer is a resounding no, none. Don't you think that's important? It is. It's very important. But anyway, let me show you this video here because this kind of stuff happens a whole lot over on the continent in places like the continent of Africa. Now, this story involves Pfizer. Okay, Pfizer. Well, we're all familiar with that because they played a very vital role in the COVID shot, right? And so we're going to take a look and listen to this video here on what Pfizer did over in Africa, in Nigeria to be precise. It's a 1-minute video. Let's take a listen.
In 1996, Hadiza Ismail died as a result of Pfizer injection of Trippin.
It's damaged my organs. They kill my hormones that will help me to grow, that will help my teeth to be strong.
Pfizer was administered on me and I couldn't move my legs. The other one also shrunk and dried up.
The children that died, some could have become the president of Nigeria.
It was the most unfortunate phase of history of Kano, which we don't want to be repeated ever.
The compensation they were trying to offer was 100,000 naira, based on the fact that if a Nigerian policeman dies on duty, his compensation is 100,000 naira.
They promised to give each victim 175,000 US dollars. We were only giving 2.4 million naira Nigerian currency.
Now, I'm trying my best to hold it together here, y'all, so you just give me a moment here. But with that bit of information that I just showed you, wouldn't you think that black doctors would have said, we're not pushing jack from this company until you guys give full account on that? But that, as you saw, the date on that was 2024, but I think it happened before that. But even in that case, that's just one of many cases involving Pfizer, Bayer, all these other companies. They do this all the time, all throughout the continent of Africa, impacting forever lives of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of black individuals, if not millions, all throughout the continent, where these companies, the same companies that are working with all of those doctors that we saw, those future black doctors, they work hand in hand with the same company, Pfizer, handing out the same stuff. Many of you have even gotten stuff from Pfizer, and you may say, well, I like my black doctor. Okay, well, did your black doctor bring that up? Did he bring that up? Is he bringing that up? Did he raise that issue like, well, you know, this is what they're doing over in Africa right now? Or is it just out of sight, out of mind? You understand what I'm saying? So again, it goes back to that debt. These individuals, when you graduate out of these medical schools, most, if not just about all of these doctors are indebted to the very system that has already made it very clear about not caring or loving you at all. A lot of what you see there, like I said again, I'm not saying these individuals are don't care or don't like black people. I'm not saying that at all. I think people who do get into that, my initial assumption is always you're doing it because you want to help people. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is that there's a lot of people like the prestige of being a doctor, but they don't want, but as far as what it takes to challenge these norms that have been handed to us, most people don't want to do that. And they're not going to do that because there's too much of a cost associated with that. Anyway, something more to think about there. And then finally, well, not finally, and then we're going to get to some very nice, I think, beautiful stories, very short story. I'm just going to go one video after the rapid fire videos. There's a video that I have of you remember I've been telling you about these, these data centers, and why particularly us as black people, we need to be very concerned about these data centers and what the impact they are going to have and already having within our communities. Like you think Flint, Michigan was an issue. Wait until, you know, these more and more of these data centers start coming online. The impact they have on local water. Okay. And like I said, a lot of municipal companies, they really don't, you know, if a heavy percentage of the water is going to the data centers, well, they're going to prioritize them many times above you, which means that there's a high probability that the quality of your drinking water will go down, or they're going to prolong whatever plans they had to improve the quality of your drinking water because they're like, well, we'll get to it when we get to it. And so this is a very important topic that, you know, if they are talking about that, you know, in your community, you definitely need to make your voice heard on that. Now, in our case where we are, I'm talking about me, my family here in Arizona, I think it's already a done deal. They're trying to make this into Silicon Valley here. So it's, you know, you got people trying to push back on it. And, but I, you know, some places it's like, you know, it's already done. You know what I mean? And so this is why we've been, you know, we presented solutions such as finding the local springs in your area, in your state. Go to the website, websites like findaspring.com, and you're able to locate some clean drinking water, you know, for you and your family. In most cases, it's free. Again, the website is Find a Spring. I believe it's either .org or .com. So make sure you look for that. But anyway, let me play this video for you. This black woman who is standing up and saying, hey, listen, nah, y'all need to step back with that foolishness. Let me play this video here. Take a listen. And I want you to pay attention to the response or the reaction she got.
All right. Good evening, Joliet City Council. I am deeply saddened by your decision to vote yes to the proposed data center. My name is Tia Clary, by the way.
You can't comment on that, ma'am.
I'm commenting on it anyway.
Right.
You have officially sold out every single citizen in Joliet.
Here come the cops.
Corporate interests over the livelihood of the very people who voted you into your position. You chose money over the future of our children. They can still hear me. Okay. Just know that everyone is going to remember each one of you that voted yes on this, and we don't want to hear. Okay, we're very disappointed.
Thank you for your comments.
Disappointed with this decision, and you should have let me speak, but that's okay. That's okay. I'll speak next time.
Shut her down. Shut her down. And it's not just her, you guys. It's many people, you know, black, white, whatever. It doesn't matter. There are many people all across the nation who are standing up, just like this black woman, you know, and to these city council people, and are saying, no, we don't want it in our community. But unfortunately, as I was saying earlier, I said, you know, the big money is really what controls at the federal and the state level. But in this specific case, when it comes to these data centers, because you're dealing with a ton of money, you know, now you're starting to see a lot of that heavy influence on issues like this. I mean, the data centers is the latest thing, but there's been many times where local companies have come in and basically influenced local city council people and all that kind of stuff. But you as a voter still have a significant amount of sway and power on the local level. So hats off to this sister who got up there and is raising her voice on a very important issue. Because again, if you think Flint, Michigan, it was an issue for the black people in that town, wait until these data centers more and more start getting online, and the impact it's going to start having on your drinking water and all of that. So please, please, please make sure that you are paying very close attention, you know, to those stories. Okay, it's very, very important. Okay, so now let's wrap this up. Let me get to this is just rapid fire videos that I have that I'm just going to show you. You know, these are all feel good, you know, stories, and, you know, stories that show a different spin when it comes to black folks, you know. And so I curate those too. I try to put those to the side so that, you know, again, we got other things we can look at, not ignoring the problems, but let's balance it out. So let me pull this out here, and this one here, let's see, this one is black man. Oh, a man breaks down crying after going broke funding the youth football team that won. Let's take a look at this.
Nigga said y'all going to Raleigh, but you did it, counting me out, dog.
They put music on there. I can't play it, y'all. Dang. Anyway, you get the story there. Why y'all put this licensed music on this stuff? Anyway, let's see if this one is. You only get one summer with your baby. I thought this was nice. You only get one summer with your baby, 3 with your toddler, 9 with your child, and 5 with your teenager. Now, if I play this and there's music on there, I'll just turn it down and we can just enjoy the moment. Yep. Dang. Anyway, I just thought that was so sweet to see that. Oh, it's a short video there, so I want to show that. Yeah, that was a pretty neat one. Anyway, this ain't nothing to do with black folks. I don't know how I ended up putting it on this one, but this one, I thought that was just interesting. I meant to bookmark it under something else, but basically, I just thought it was an interesting video. It is, because what lions will do sometime if they're being attacked by hyenas and they overcome the hyenas, they'll kill all the hyenas in a pack except one, and they will literally escort the wounded one back to the rest of the pack and allow him to live as a sign, don't mess with us. And I was like, wow, that was really something. But anyway, I don't know how that ended up on my bookmarks there. Hold on, let me get to the next one. Let's go here. Hold on. Let's see. This is an older video. I've seen this one before, but this is a really nice video here. This is a father reaction to his daughter winning awards. And I thought this was a really nice one. Let's play this one and let's take a listen to this Big Papa here.
Call me what y'all want, But I never expected my child to receive 4 awards. And I've never been an academic student. I've never reached those heights before. Call me weak, call me lame, but I'm crying because I never thought that could come from me, and I'm proud of my daughter. I'm proud. Of course, I could cry in front of her face, but I'm proud. I'm fucking proud. Now I'm on my way to work to go get this bread for her.
That's right. There are, believe it or not, in light of all the, there are plenty of negative images out there that, we do have to confront and we do have to talk about and we do have to address. But there also are, we want to always remind ourselves that there are many black men out here who are making a difference and they do love their children very, very much. Here's another one here. I don't know if they put music on this one here. But I thought this was funny. This father, he gave his child a hedge trimmer, and look at what happens. Look at the child. Oh, he getting a little calmer now. Nah, take it away from him now. When he start calming out, nah, okay, let me take it away from you. I was looking at those little shoes. I said, man, I remember my children. I could see it now. I used to line them because we would line their shoes, outside shoes, near the door. And I remember getting these little sandals for them. I could still see it now. My son, his was blue. And of course, our daughter, hers were pink. I could still see it now. Wow. Man, it's just something how time just goes, don't it? Anyway, let's move on to the next one here. This is a husband who was with his wife for over as she had to go through having an issue, traumatic brain injury. And he was there after 200 days of her treatment to hear her first words. And again, this speaks on the loyalty and the love that you have between numbers of black couples that are out here. So I thought this was really nice.
So if I ask you if you love me, what do you say?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, if I ask you, do you hate me, what do you say?
No.
Good job, girly girl. I want you to say your name now. Key. Just say Key. Okay, do it again. Make it loud. I want to hear you.
Key.
Yes, that's your name, boo boo. Let me kiss. Good job.
That's something. And I think about that, husbands or wives that, that are committed like that, to death do you part. You watch as your spouse or your loved one is sick and you're still there. Hats off to many of you who are out here and you stay loyal and committed to your spouse. I know for some of you, you've lost a spouse, but you were there to the very end. I tell you, words cannot even begin to express how much that touches me when I hear and see that. I saw that even in my own house, with my mother, and how she stuck with my father to the very end. She didn't leave. She didn't say, I'm out of here. That's it. She stayed with him to the very end, and she, took care of him and all of that. And for those of you who fall into that, we really appreciate that, because those are good impressions that really that need to be left with this generation. They need to see that. Anyway, here's another video. It's a child. He's just happy because guess what? He survived leukemia, y'all. So check a look. Oh, they put music on that one, so we'll just play it.
You better get it. Wow, man. I was I don't know if I were to become a doctor, it would be I don't even know if I could become a children's doctor. I would be somewhere crying all the time. Seriously, if I couldn't save a child, man, that would be really I don't know how much I mean, I know somebody's got to do it and I get it, but man, that would be very rough, to face that, but hats off to those who do it. I don't know if this has music on it or not. This one here, one foot in front of the other, even when it hurts, even when it's hard, daddy's not letting go. That's got music on it too, but you see what's going on here, and the child is dealing. Oh, after her appendectomy, and look at the dad; he's right there, and he is right there with her. And as he put in this post here, he is not going to let go. That's what real fathers do. We're not going to let go of our children. We're not going to let go. Here's another one here. Dinner time with quadruplets. Let's see if that has music on it.
Okay.
Woo. Oh my. Oh my. How many of y'all got a twin or triplets or you're a quadruplet? Woo! Oh my goodness. Anyway, I won't play that too long. Let's see. He said after 4 boys, they finally had a girl child. Let's see what this one. More music on it. I can't play the music, but we can play it. He combing. Oh man. I remember, man, our babies came out. I remember the hair being like that. I say, yep, this gonna nap up real soon. It was so easy. I remember how easy it was to brush the hair. And you see how he's doing? You got to be really gentle because they got that little soft spot up there on top of their head. Oh, I remember the breath smelled like buttermilk. But then, honey, once they start eating beef and chicken, oh, that boo-boo starts smelling like something that starts smelling like, you can't, once that changes, oh, that buttermilk, no, it all goes away after that. Yeah, anyway, check this one out. Here's another one. This man, he has the Atlanta Drum Academy. Atlanta Drum Academy. I know you want to hear this one. Let's take a look at this one. Teaching these young boys and girls how to play the drums.
3, 4, out.
Oh, dang, I can't play that either. They playing my man. I can't because YouTube don't like it. But you got it. Anyway, and I thought that was nice too. So see, listen, that's what we try to do here is to show you guys, on this platform at least, and I know other platforms do it as well, is to take a very balanced approach when we're talking about this thing that we call the Black community. And the truth of the matter is what we call the Black community now, unfortunately, isn't one. It isn't a place of common unity. There's a lot of things that, quite honestly, that need to be addressed. And you got people in one part of the community that just forever do not want to talk about those things because they're too embarrassed. They want to keep their brains safe, while you have others that say, hey, let's talk about these things, but let's do it in a constructive way so that we can build each other up. Those are the people that I want to partner with. Those are the people I want to be in common unity with. And I know that if you're watching this video or you're a subscriber to this channel, you're just like that as well. And so that's what we try to promote here on this platform, is really looking at these things, but also, hey, what are some solutions we can build along the way? So anyway, that's what we try to do. And that's what I try to demonstrate yet again in another broadcast. Thank you so much for your patience, you guys, tonight with the little technical issues that we had, but we made it through. Make sure you check out our website, sambatree.com. We just introduced a brand new herb for you guys. If you got diabetes or you got the sugar issue going on, you're going to want to make sure you check it out. Go to our new arrivals page and you'll find out all about it. Go ahead and check it out, you guys. Thank you again for everything. You guys take care, and we'll be seeing you next time. I'll see you next time.